March 17th, 2026, general session of the board. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy St. Patrick's Day to those who celebrate. Not a lot of green wearers up here today. Do I have a motion on the clerk general?
So moved. Yes.
And yes, and there are some requisitions.
I'll move that we accept the requisitions. Yes.
And yes. And I know we have some add-ons
Yeah, I
today.
do have 5 items for consideration not on the consent agenda. The first is a resolution approving an appointment to the Warren County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
And this person's been, as I recall, vetted by the Board of Developmental Disabilities and meets the criteria for board service.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I didn't, can you mention the person's name, please? Because I didn't recall who this was.
So it's Aaron.
Aaron Michael Marcelli or
Marcelli,
something?
yes.
Right, and so who is that?
I've
The
got
resume is in the
resume.
packet.
Yep, I saw it, but I don't know this person at all. How do we find this person? That's what I'm really asking.
They were vetted through the Board of Developmental Disabilities. They have to have some connection, some nexus with the Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Okay.
And there were two, as I understand it from the packet, there were 2 people that applied, and this was the person that the board recommended to us.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right, do we have to make a motion to accept this
Yes.
appointment?
Make the appointment.
Yep, all right. I make a motion that we make this appointment.
And, yes?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
The second resolution I have is approving change order number 1 to purchase order number 25002348 with Allied Technical Services Incorporated for the Lower Little Miami Wastewater Treatment Plant VLR2 installation components.
And this is a change order to add $9,000?
That's actually lower for the Sycamore. This one is there's a VLR2 aeration tank that they are working on at the Little Miami Treatment Plant, and Allied Technical Services needs to, I guess, configure some different parts as they move through, and they need a larger crane, and I think a little bit more is the associated labor that goes with it. So this is the one relative to the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
Yep.
And, yes?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
The third resolution is approving the reclassification and pay increases of multiple employees within the Warren County Department of Job and Family Services, Human Services Division.
So moved.
Yep, second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
The fourth is approving change order number 3 to the contract with Building Crafts Incorporated for the Sycamore Trails wastewater treatment plant upgrades project.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And the final resolution is a resolution initiating contract negotiations with KZF for engineering services for the improvements to the water distribution service and maintenance building project.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And that's all I have.
Before we go on, I know that Arlene is here on the issue that, the staffing issue, and I'm just wondering if we could just take a couple of minutes, because I'd really like to talk about the SNAP staffing and so forth. There's been some movement in the state legislature for some additional resources. So could you all just come forward? Just, one of the things that, to the board, that that you'll recall from the budgeting process last fall, we talked about HR 1 and the implementation specifically related to SNAP. And there were two things that we were concerned about with respect to our budget. The first starts to come into play in October of this year, which is a reduction of administrative resources coming from the feds through the state and down to our county for processing and eligibility around SNAP. That loss was projected to be about $400,000, and the way that the agency proposed back then to deal with that was that there were 5 positions that were unfilled, that they were going to remain unfilled in order to make up that delta revenue. The second issue has to do with the error rate. So based on the state's error rate in processing applications, that if we didn't get our error rate down, then the state would be on the hook for a percentage of the actual benefit costs of SNAP. So we don't actually have anything to do with SNAP other than as an arm of the state, we're doing the paperwork processing. But part of that benefit cost then could and likely would, based on the decisions that have been made on the administrative costs, flow back down to the county. So I know that the JFS changes that were brought forward were an attempt to keep the staff that we have in order to ensure that we have trained people to be able to process the applications so that we can, maintain a low error rate. An error rate isn't fraud, it is, processing even the self-reported information that the client reports to the county. So that, as I understand it, is the reason why we made those salary adjustments to keep the staff we have while having these five positions that remain unfilled. Did I understand what we were doing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everything's correct.
What I wanted to bring forward to the board, and I didn't know if you all have heard about this, is that this week the legislature has heard some of the concerns that the counties have been saying about our ability to both keep down the error rate and be able to ensure that we don't get on the hook for some of the benefit costs. And so there is an effort to return some of those administrative resources to us. And so the last I've heard on the bill was for our county would be about $225,000. So that's not been finalized yet, but it's the process that the legislature is undergoing. So I think they're keeping 50 counties whole, so all the small counties will be kept whole. And then the rest of us would be up to $225,000 or $226,000 with a cap. So it's something. So we'll be getting, if this passes, which they're negotiating this kind of with both chambers, we would have some of that restored. So I say all this to say we've made this allocation now on staffing, and so I'm not suggesting that we hire anybody new, but that perhaps that's a way for us to absorb those increases in the staffing moving forward. And I really just wanted to let the board know that we continue to monitor this, because this could be based on where the state's error rate is today. It's $167 million would be our share, not Warren County share, but the state share, and then how that would move down to the county. So it's substantial. It is a substantial entitlement that we're working really hard to try to get under that error rate so we don't, so we aren't on the hook for that. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
And is there anything else that you can think of that we need to be aware of on this issue as you all are continuing to manage this pretty substantial change as this bill comes, this law now gets implemented?
I think one of the things for us is to keep you abreast of what's going on, for any changes that would happen. Because, you know, depending on which way it goes, it could be substantial. So keeping you abreast would be a good thing to do.
That's what, I had not heard about the $225,000, and to us, that's substantial. Like, we were confident with this path forward that we were gonna be able to maintain all of our numbers. We had zero concerns. With that, you've alleviated any problems that we have, like we are.
On the administrative.
On the administration side,
Administrative
yeah, the QC
yes.
side, but the administration side,
Yeah.
that alleviates so many problems, so that's fantastic news for us today.
Great, well, let's hope that everybody keeps it together in Columbus this week.
Yeah.
And that those resources would be restored, a partial restoration at least, so. Great.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you all for your work on
Thank
that,
you.
but
Thank you so much.
How many people are on the SNAP program in the county?
SNAP right now, we have 10,050, I believe.
And do you know offhand how many are on unemployment?
I do not know the unemployment.
I know there's 136 right now that are able-bodied adults. There's one that is a food stamp or SNAP and cash assistance, which means the rest fall into the categories of children, which is our largest group, and ABD, so age, blind, disabled.
See, I was going more with the working adults. Last I heard, it was like 550 or something.
Yeah, it's roughly around there off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
That are on unemployment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a relatively low number.
So is SNAP the biggest social safety net program that we're involved with? What?
Medicaid would be our largest.
Yeah.
I believe this morning I checked and we had 30,000 roughly people on Medicaid currently.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, Martin, I know there was a couple of other items. Did you want to talk about them at the end of our work session, or?
I think at the end of the work session would be fine. if that's
Okay.
acceptable.
Okay, great. So do I have a,
Motion to adjourn. First meeting.
Yes.
great. So with that, I'll open up our work session today. First, we have Matt Latham, who's here to present as, on behalf of the Warren County Park District, and Brad Evans, an economist with the University of Cincinnati, to discuss the results of the Outdoor Recreation Economic Study. Good to see you again.
Hey, it's great to see you too. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. My name's Matt Latham. I'm the CEO of Warren County Park District. Today we're here to talk about an outdoor recreation economic study. With me today is Brad Evans from the University of Cincinnati. Brad, would you like to tell the board a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Good morning, everybody. I'm Brad Evans. I'm a co-executive director as well as the director of research at the University of Cincinnati's Economic Center. And we've had a great partnership with the county and many of its communities. We've obviously completed this study here in partnership with the Warren County Park District as well as some of the other community partners. We've also worked on quantifying the impact of the Cincinnati Open tennis tournament, as well as some work in Deerfield Township and quantifying the benefits of the Imagination Library here in Warren County, among some other projects. So we've had a
Brad,
great.
can I ask you to use your outside voice, because I
Sorry.
can't
Yeah,
hear you
sorry,
at all.
Sorry. Yes, I will speak up. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad. And so today we're here to talk about how outdoor recreation delivers results that you can see and experience while generating strong and measurable economic returns. And what I mean by see and experience is our parks and trails and rivers, a lot, this is oftentimes taxpayer-supported essential infrastructure, but unlike a lot of the other assets that we have, such as our schools, police, fire, things like that, people are actually able to go out and experience, enjoy. It gives them something that they can touch, that they can interact with. And so I believe that's what sets outdoor recreation apart from other public services. And what we're here today to talk about is how the economic return delivered by those services is one of the best that you can get. But first, I'd like to talk about the group that conceived of, funded, and shepherded this study through the process. So I'd like to introduce you to the Warren County Wild Collaborative. Now, this is an informal alliance currently of about 30 businesses, nonprofits, and local government entities. And our collective goal is to collaboratively promote Warren County as a destination for outdoor recreation and adventure tourism. We have some great assets in this county. The Little Miami River, the beautiful valley surrounding that, the Great Miami, the Little Miami Scenic Trail, the Great Miami River Trail. We have incredible outdoor recreation destinations in this county and believe that that deserves increased recognition and investment. Now, the funding partners for the study, in order to provide the funds to pay for the services of Brad's department, we brought together the Park District, the City of Mason, the City of Springboro, City of Lebanon, and Deerfield Township to fund this study collaboratively. Oh, and we also have several of our Warren County Wild Collaborative members and supporters in the room today. If you wouldn't mind, just please stand and be recognized. All right, thank you so much. There's another one. All right, and at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Brad to take you through the results of the economic study. Brad?
Thank you. So our study focused solely on outdoor recreation amenities throughout Warren County, and we included approximately 12,500 acres of outdoor recreation land and 124 miles of trails throughout the county. Outdoor recreation land represents sites owned and managed by local governments and nonprofit organizations and supports many varying outdoor recreational opportunities and experiences, including Fort Ancient, Cedar Creek State Park. There are regional parks that were included, facilities designated as special recreation areas, and numerous community parks that serve nearby neighborhoods. Wanted to also point out there was an extensive trail network, as we all know, the Little Miami Trail and the various trails that branch off of that network. We also included those trail users in this study.
Is that the totality at 12,475 acres? Is that all owned by either the Park District or local governments?
That is correct.
That's all of it?
That's correct, yeah. And there
And
were,
the state.
In the state, okay.
and there are a couple of parks that cross county lines, and we only included the land that's in Warren County.
Okay.
So what, the map on the right side, it's so small I can't read the legend. Are the green areas park areas?
That's correct. We have the green areas, the park areas, the pinkish, purplish areas are the special outdoor recreation areas. I believe they maybe
They're
former
golf courses.
golf courses that are now used as recreational. I know like Kingswood Park in Deerfield Township, or Kingswood Golf Course is now a park space. And then there is the pinkish purple line kind of running through the county. That would be the Little Miami Trail. And then there are some other trails that we've identified in the map as well.
I think it's also important to point out what's not in this study. And what's not in this study is Kings Island, the Linder Tennis Center, the Warren County Sports Complex. We deliberately left those big attractions out of this study because we believe that those economic benefits of those assets are very well documented already. So this study is intended to capture what does the rest contribute? What do your parks and green space and trails and rivers contribute?
What's the special recreation area up by Clear Creek?
That looks to be like Heatherwood.
Okay.
They were saying they were golf courses, basically,
Yeah,
right?
that is Heatherwood.
So we'll touch on a couple comments about our methodology. We used an input-output economic impact model. We use that to estimate the total economic impact of four categories, including visitor spending, impact of businesses that were engaged in outdoor recreation industry here in the county, as well as the operations and capital expenditures of local government entities and nonprofit organizations that manage our park and recreation opportunities across the county. Direct impacts represent the initial spending, employment and wages that are supported by local park and recreation entities. Indirect impacts capture the broader ripple effects that occur as spending circulates through the county's economy. And we use industry-specific multipliers that we sourced from Vitecast. We applied those to translate the direct impacts into total county-level economic impacts. And also wanted just to point out that we controlled for economic leakage. We know that businesses here in the county are procuring goods and services from businesses located outside of Warren County. And so we wanted just to be sure we were examining the dollars estimated to be retained here in the county's economy.
So are you measuring people that are coming from outside our county to our county, or are you measuring as well people within the county that go to our parks?
So we focused on out-of-county visitor spending, so that represents new dollars coming into the county's economy. And then in terms of the local residents here, you know, they have options in terms of they could go elsewhere, they could, you know, they could spend the dollars elsewhere. So substitution effects, so we did not include those individuals here. We just focused solely on the tourism component of the park and recreation spaces.
All right, well, I'm really curious to know how you figure these numbers out.
Okay. Right, well, we can talk about the out-of-county visitor spending. And so I believe Warren County Park District and some of the partners had access to data from Placer. So they use and they track individuals as they go to these outdoor recreation opportunities, and they're tracking, I believe, through cell phone information.
So you geofence it, and when they come in from out of network, and you know who they, so these are not guesstimates, you've got pretty good ideas.
Yeah, I'd say we do, yeah.
And then you track whether they go to McDonald's or not, or something like that?
That is
It
correct.
can
Yeah,
be
it can.
done that way, yes. But don't worry though, it's anonymized.
It is, yes. So these are not maybe necessarily unique visitors, these are out-of-county visits. So it could be the same person who would be coming into the county multiple times.
But you're able to tell whether the person comes from out of county, and you haven't told me exactly how you figure that out, but that's because of cell phone data? Is that what you're doing? So you know that the cell phone, how would you know the cell phone is from out of the county?
They're tracking the cell phone's movement.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you track somebody coming from out of the county, into the county, then back out of the county again. That's how you know that they're out of county.
That's
I mean,
correct.
it gets to the point where,
This is really fascinating, hold on a second. And so and you're tracking them to a park,
That is correct.
and then where do you track them? They're gonna be fascinated by this.
Yeah, so, so Placer is a company, they provided the data on these visitors coming to the county, and then they're tracking whether they go to a restaurant or what happened in that movement.
I would say like the sports complex uses that, and so they use it for a couple different items. When they use this technology, it allows them to go out and find sponsors for the sports complex. And in addition, I think Phil Smith has said this on a couple occasions, that one of the largest beneficiaries of the sports complex is the UDF at Red Lion, because a lot of people, when they leave, that's where they go for gas and things before they hit the road.
Okay, but so hang with me for a second, this is just so fascinating. So you track them coming in, you track them going out, you track them to where they go to a restaurant or something like that. So you're gonna make an estimate of how much they're spending at the restaurant? It's an estimate at that point.
Yes, that.
You're not going to the restaurant and saying, hey, what would you like to know?
Show me their tab.
That would make life a lot easier on my end, for sure,
But so you're basically, if they go to a gas station, they go to a restaurant, they go to a lodging, you track them, and then you have an estimate of how much they're spending at each one of these locations.
Right, what's the average ticket at each one of those locations?
I don't
Oh,
have
no,
that.
no, I'm saying that's how you
Yeah.
quantify
Yeah,
a
so
number.
so there are other studies that also track visitor spending in and out of parks, and so we took a look at all of those other studies that were available to us. If it wasn't known, we used per diem rates, understanding what estimated, how much lodging.
But maybe, I mean, since we've gone down this rabbit hole a little bit when I asked about geofencing, that we're not unique to doing this. This is what every major business does now. When Kroger has it to the level of when you're walking down a
We're being
specific aisle.
tracked
When you
constantly.
go into Kenwood Mall, they know what store you go into.
I'm
And it's
turning
not
that
you
sucker off. That's not what
individually. It's the cell phone. And
That's-
so they don't know you individually, they just know a phone from blank went in or out, correct?
That is correct.
So yeah, it's the big brother's watching because they are, but they're not watching you individually. And that's just the way business is done now with, again, every time you walk into a mall, into an individual store, that record goes to a bunch of different people that are buying that data. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes, that is correct. And we also had information on county residents as well through this data set. So we were able to remove those that were kind of moving within the county, whether they were leaving from home and going to a park and then back to home or to work, so we only isolated just to those that were, that we believe were from out of county, based on the cell phone information.
You gotta do more than turn your phone off.
Yeah, apparently.
So these out-of-county visitors generated a total economic impact of $33.1 million. They supported 295 total jobs with wages estimated to be approximately $10.9 million and generated $1.5 million in tax revenue.
So that's a good, you're estimating 2.8 million people came into outdoor activities that are not Kings Island and things like that, just general parks and
That's
recreation.
correct. I just want to point out they may not be unique people. So we just have
Trips.
Yeah, yes.
Well, but do you distinguish between people who are coming in just for that park, or maybe doing multiple things? Because I can imagine that somebody goes to Kings Island, or somebody goes to the Great Wolf Lodge, or somebody goes to the tennis tournament, and maybe they happenstance visit a park, but they really were attracted to those other attractions.
It's possible that some of those individuals were here for other reasons. We just have, and I don't have it in front of me, but we know the movement kind of coming in and at the park, and then like 30 minutes after. And so depending on what happens within that
Okay, well, that's a
movement.
pretty interesting snapshot.
Yeah, and I don't see that kind of combination as a problem at all, I mean, that to me is a benefit. And, we would do well to, it's good that we have things to offer people who are visiting because of Kings Island and other reasons, that they have other things to do while they're in town. That enhances the value of their experience.
We also quantified the economic impact of businesses that are engaged in the outdoor recreation industry here in the county. These businesses are defined as establishments whose primary operations support recreation participation, such as equipment retailers, rental and repair services, outfitters, and manufacturers. And we limited this just to businesses here in the county that provide goods and services associated with outdoor recreation. We have a relationship with the state of Ohio through the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, and so these businesses are filing their unemployment insurance with the state. We get access to those filings, and so we know by longitude and latitude by six-digit NAICS codes, are very specific industry codes, and so we know that these are reported to the state wages and jobs information for businesses here in the county, and so these businesses generated a total economic impact of $37 million. They supported 230 total jobs with approximately $9.9 million in wages and created $2.8 million in sales and earnings tax revenue for state and local government entities here.
So these are things like a canoe livery, a bike shop, a golf pro shop.
Yeah, so a lot of these were associated with businesses along the Little Miami Trail or river, so you're exactly right. These are canoe and paddle companies, bike rental companies, and there were approximately 20 or so businesses that we have identified.
And then in addition, there could be restaurants on top of that?
We did not include restaurants on top of that, so this was solely engaged in the outdoor recreation industry. So a lot of that would be captured in the sort of indirect impact of some of the spending.
Yeah, because that's a real number, and that's a significant number if you look at Little Miami Bike Trail, what they did in downtown Loveland. I mean, that was almost exclusively as a direct correlation to all the visitors on the bike path. They started making an investment there, and downtown Loveland has done a fantastic job. And a lot of that is as a result of all the bike and walking traffic on that corridor. So when you're saying it's 37 million, that doesn't even include restaurants.
That's correct.
So, okay, are you tracking the outside of the county people to a business? That's where this number comes from?
No, this is just the operating expenditures of businesses in the outdoor recreation industries in the county.
Oh, okay, so you're just looking at all the businesses that you define as outdoor recreation, and you're getting data specifically from them with regard to their sales?
That's correct.
That's it?
That's correct. So we have employment and wages for these industries, and then we use multipliers to estimate what the sales would be to support those level of jobs and wages.
But generally speaking, those businesses would probably be frequented by county residents, not necessarily by out-of-county people.
Right. That is.
So you're not generating, these people are not generating, or business is not being generated for these businesses from out-of-county people. These businesses, by and large, probably, I mean, they could, but they by and large probably service the local residents.
But they're in that industry of serving the outdoor activities or natural assets or whatever it is, the parks.
That's
So
right.
Their businesses, whether it's in county or out of county, that is what their business does, is service people that are using that activity.
So is Dick's Sporting Goods Store a business that's an outdoor rec business or no?
It was not included. These are much more specific outdoor recreation within I can get this for you, but there's a list of NAICS codes, so industry classification codes that fall under outdoor recreation, and we use those codes just to isolate about 20 businesses. So Dick's would be more of a general retail. I know it's a sporting goods store, but
Yeah.
more of a retail operation.
So this is sporting directed towards actually the activity of the sport, like this would be like for a tennis club or something like that?
Yeah.
It's like things like canoe liveries, bike shops, running stores, those types of things. Would that be right?
How many businesses in the county fall into this category?
There's about 20 of them.
20 of them, okay.
So we also quantified the impact of the capital and operations expenditures of park and recreations departments, local government agencies, as well as some of the nonprofit organizations engaged.
I'm losing you, Brad.
Sorry, Parks and Recreation, of the nonprofit agencies that are also engaged in the parks and recreation opportunities here within the county. Sorry, I lost my place. So here, the direct expenditures of the local government agencies, we source this information from the comprehensive annual financial reports. We also reached out directly to some of these government agencies to collect information on their capital and operating expenditures directly from them. And so combined, these agencies had a direct economic impact of $16.5 million They supported 233 direct jobs and $8.1 million in wages, and then through the multiplier effects, the leveraging of that activity occurring in the county, an additional $9.8 million in indirect economic output was created, supporting an additional 395 indirect jobs and $9.6 million of indirect wages. So in total, the capital and operations expenditures of these Parks and Recreation entities generated $26.3 million of total economic output. They supported 628 total jobs with earnings of $17.7 million. And this economic activity generated a total fiscal impact of approximately $831,000. So just to summarize the economic impact of the visitor spending, those businesses engaged in outdoor recreation, as well as the capital and operating expenditures of the local parks and recreation entities, a total economic output of $96.4 million was generated in fiscal year 24, supporting 1,153 jobs, $38.4 million in wages, and $5.1 million of tax revenue in Warren County.
And that was 2024?
Fiscal year 24 information, yes, that's correct.
I think that's an important point, Mr. Young, is these are annual numbers. So this kind of economic activity is being delivered year after year after year, over and over again.
With the 96.4 million, it's just adding up the numbers that you gave us in the previous charts?
That's correct. So in addition to the economic impact analysis we completed, we also know that parks and outdoor recreation generate health savings for its regular park users. And so looking at this, that we estimated that active adults can save approximately 1 to 3% of total healthcare spending. National cost benchmarks indicate average annual medical cost of approximately $7,150 for adults age 18 to 64, and approximately $12,000 to $13,000 annually for adults age 65 and older. We used data from the American Community Survey and estimated that 68,900 adults in Warren County regularly participate in outdoor recreation. Of these, approximately 58,000 individuals are between the ages of 18 and 64, and about 11,000 or so are aged 65 and older. And so combined, these values represent a total potential annual savings for physical health of $5.5 million each year. There are also mental health benefits for spending time outdoors. There are several studies that we looked at, one of which found time spent in natural environments and outdoors is associated with improved mental well-being through a 7% reduction of symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression. Of the county's 69,000 adult outdoor recreation participants, approximately 22%, or more than 15,000 individuals, are expected to experience some form of depression-related mental health issues in any given year. If these individuals who are regularly participating and spending time outdoor, we could reduce the prevalence of those issues by approximately 7%, reducing the estimated number of affected individuals to 14,000. This reduction represents approximately 1,035 individuals who are likely to avoid depression-related mental health issues annually among the adult participants. The average cost of therapy is estimated to be $1,080 per person per year. So multiplying the 1,035 fewer cases of depression-related mental health issues by the annual cost per case results in an estimated savings of more than $1.1 million each year. So in total, the physical and mental health savings are estimated to be approximately $6.6 million for regular park users.
Normally, this is, when consultants come in and talk about things like this is normally where I would kind of rip on your methodology. But it actually, I agree from an economic perspective that your assumptions seem very reasonable, that, again, you have 150-year-olds and they're homogeneous 50-year-olds, some are healthy, some are not healthy, or what have you, and 10 of them go and actively participate in outdoor recreation, which means they're getting off the couch, or they're going and doing something, and you're saying out of those 10, out of the 100, we're only saying one of them is, they're saving 1% to 3%. So, I mean, that's a very reasonable expectations out of 100 homogeneous groupings of a certain particular age group to say, let's say 10% of them actually engage in this outdoor activity. They are going to be healthier and have less of a cost on the healthcare system than the other 90. That's all you're saying, right?
That's right, that's right. So there are costs that are being saved through the healthcare system as well as to the regular park users by regularly engaging in outdoor activity.
But you're not distinguishing though between the fact that a person who would go to a park would more than likely have a lifestyle that is different from people who never go to parks. In other words, it isn't because of going to the park that necessarily causes this benefit, but it's the person's other things that they do. The type of people that do that are typically probably eating more healthily. They're probably having more exercise at home or in other, ways. They're probably doing things that have health benefits that really do, we know, significantly help health. And there's a correlation between going to a park and that, but there's not a causation link. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So we used other studies that have looked at regular outdoor participants and some of those associated health outcomes and cost savings. And so we have localized that here to the county's population. So I certainly agree. It may not be a causal relationship, it could be associated. And certainly agree that there could be other lifestyle factors.
I'm just suggesting that it's more than likely that the health benefits are a correlative analysis, not a causation analysis. Because if I thought that going to a park every day was gonna give me a big improvement in my health, just that, I'd be doing it a lot more than I am doing it. But I think that really what's happening here is the people that go to parks do other things that do impact your health in a very specific way.
Well, Mr. Grossman, I think you've raised one of the vexing problems of research. It's almost impossible to prove causation. But I would like to challenge you to flip that argument on its head and imagine how much worse it would be if folks didn't have places to do those healthy things that they're already previously inclined to do. I think that's the way that we should be looking at it, and that's why I trust Brad's analysis.
Well, I wholeheartedly approve of and support parks. I always have as a public servant. I think it's not only for these tangential, maybe health benefits, but because of the beautification and the fact that it improves our tone of commerce, it improves our lifestyle, and improves the quality of our lives and our environment. Flat out. It's a very important part of that. That's why I support parks. I think that it's an interesting analysis you're giving me here, but I don't necessarily buy the fact that going to a park is going to improve your health. I do believe that mental health, yeah, sure.
I mean, I appreciate your argument, but I almost, not to get into data analytics, but it's almost when you're talking about 1 to 3%, and I think about the Little Miami Bike Trail, that if that didn't exist, am I predisposed to want to go to be healthy? Yeah, sure. But if a natural asset is literally, a mile from my door and I'm gonna go walking tonight, I would say the likelihood of that activity happening when you have that resource readily available is more likely to occur than, I need to go walk tonight. And then how many people say that? Of course, but then how many people do it? Yeah, am I walking around my neighborhood or what have you? But if I have, Caesars Creek State Park or what have you that's right there, I'm gonna go walk the trails. I think you're more likely to do it with access to something like that.
That's the beauty of parks, public parks, is that they're accessible to everyone. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I guess maybe it was. My kids are way older now, but when I was a very young mother who had 2 young children pushing strollers around, and we didn't have any extra resources to belong to a club or to a pool or other recreation, and the fact that I could go to my community park and push my children on a pathway and allow them to use the swing sets and those sorts of things. I mean, to me, that is, it's a great equalizer when it comes to health. We know there's a direct correlation between just having access to it and healthier people. And I suspect a lot of those young families we see at some of these park facilities, it is their form of physical activity. So I think having access is so important for everyone in the community.
Yeah, my only reason for even bringing it up was just trying to dissect, are your assumptions, again, not question, because you guys have done a lot of other work for us, but is this a reasonable analysis of what's really going on? And when I see it's only a 1 to 3% saving on health, if anything, I would think it would be more. So that's where I'm saying I think it's a reasonable analysis.
We always err on the side of being conservative. I don't want to overstate potential benefits or impacts. I don't know that does anybody any good to artificially inflate something that may not be happening, and so we always try to be conservative when quantifying some benefits.
Sure. Is the point of the study to make us expand our parks, or because I'm all in favor of parks, and I've always been for a lot of reasons. I think that this is an interesting analysis, but I think for many reasons, public parks and having wonderful public parks is a benefit to our society, it's a benefit to the communities, it's a benefit for a lot of reasons, and I would be for them even if they didn't have any economic impact at all.
Sign them up.
Yeah, I'll speak to the purpose of the study. The purpose of the study is to present this type of outdoor recreation as an attractive option for investment. And I'll get into a little bit more about, why we think it's attractive.
Are you talking about government investment in parks, or are you talking about, okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
So we also took a look at one last component in terms of stormwater runoff reduction, and the outdoor recreations help to mitigate the impacts of that stormwater runoff by absorbing and then filtering that runoff before it enters into streams, creeks, rivers, other water bodies of water, which also lessens the burden of public infrastructure investment. So there's an estimated 1.8 billion cubic feet of storm water that's absorbed each year through the natural filtration, and has an associated cost savings of $159.5 million in avoided stormwater management costs, since the stormwater does not require collection, treatment, or conveyance through traditional infrastructure systems. Finally, we also took a look at the impact of the outdoor recreation spaces and amenities, and how that enhances property value. So we built a value premium model, and we found that there were 63,000 or so residential parcels within 1 mile of public parks and outdoor recreation areas in the county. We've included single-family homes, multifamily properties, including 2-family, 3-family, and condominium units, as well as vacant residential parcels. The model also considered the distance to the nearest park or trail, the type of the residential property included, as well as the lot size, and then the size of the nearest park. And proximity to these outdoor areas and trails is estimated to increase residential property values by a total of $854.8 million, which results in $17 million of tax revenue.
So you're saying two exactly the same residents One's within a mile of a park, one's not, you're saying it's on average 5% more valuable.
Yes, approximately about 8% premium. So we have looked at similar homes within a mile of a park or outdoor recreation, and then home values of homes, similar homes, construction, size, bedrooms, and what the value is.
Is that a guess, or you've actually looked at that?
We have looked at that here at the county. Yes. And so just to quickly summarize, the total economic impact of the out-of-county visitor spending, the outdoor recreation businesses, as well as the operations and capital expenditures of parks and recreation departments and entities here in Warren County creates an economic impact of $96.4 million. There is a healthcare savings and stormwater reduction impact of $166.1 million, and the property value premium of $854.8 million here in the county.
And so do you want us to add all those numbers up?
No, and I did not add them up because they are different categories. Some are cost savings, other are dollars generated in the county. So that's why I kind of broke them up into three separate categories.
So how much do we spend on our parks in Warren County?
Oh, interesting you should mention that.
I was gonna say, now that nice presentation, I have a feeling they're gonna get to why they're, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that you're about to ask us to do something in that category.
Well, that's not on today's agenda, but I did want, again, this is all about presenting outdoor recreation as an attractive option for investment, right? And so what this slide summarizes here is, according to Brad's study, when you add up all of the park district, the state, the localities, everybody who's investing in parks and trails in Warren County, we're at about $20.9 million a year combined through all of those different sources. And so when you look at the total economic benefit that's delivered, $96.4 million annually, that we're at a $4.6 return for every $1 invested, or roughly 5 to 1. That's why Abe is up there on the screen. And I gotta tell you guys, my stock portfolio is not doing that well. So anyway, that's really what this is about. We're presenting this as an attractive option for strategic investment. And of course, why it matters. This is just a quote from one of our local hospitality-based businesses. We host family cyclists and paddlers all season long, and many of them tell us the same thing. They chose Warren County because of the river, the parks, and the trails. Those natural assets are what set the place apart, and they make a real tangible difference for small, locally owned hospitality businesses. And that's it. That concludes our presentation. Oh, and I do have a question for you. We do want to make some hay out of this. We want to really make a splash in the media, really present a positive picture for Warren County. So the collaborative is planning on a press release pretty soon to try to get news agencies to report on this positive story. I would like you to consider if one of you might be willing to contribute a quote to that press release. I'd really appreciate it if you would. I'll reach out through Martin to see if that's something that either of you might want to do. Also, Martin did ask me to mention that on a related topic, that the Park District did apply for a congressional earmark to fund a tunnel under State Route 741 to connect Armco Park to the Warren County Sports Complex. And wanted to ask if you'd be willing to sign a support letter to go to Congressman Landsman in support of that project.
And I reached out to us at the end of the week, and I told him that the first time I'd have an opportunity to see all three of you would be here today. Just passed down the draft letter that he submitted. I believe Engineer Weber gave a letter of support for this, but this is that time of year real quick where the congressional directed spends are being asked for, and this was one that actually approached us relative to a letter of support. So just wanted to put that on your radar. I think your application, correct me if I'm wrong, your application is in, but you're submitting letters of support kind of continuously?
Yes.
That's really it?
That's really it.
All right, so when do you want us to get back to you on this?
Just as soon as you reasonably can.
So, I'm just asking you a question about it. Did you track these people going over from our sports center over to your Armco Park?
No, I don't think we have it that fine-grained of data, but that would be an interesting data point.
Well, I'm wondering, is there a need for something like this? Because you're finding that there's a lot of cross-pollination from people that come in to that sports complex wanting to go to the
We
Army.
believe there's a fair amount of it, and really what we're trying to do is we're trying to enhance the value of both facilities, because folks who come in from outside and go to the Warren County Sports Complex for their kids' tournament, a lot of those are families, and a lot of them aren't really all that into the sport. They need other things to do. So we want to be able to provide that safe connection so that they can get over to Armco Park, make use of our facilities. That enhances the value of the Warren County Sports Complex, and vice versa. I know that the sports complex has opened up their trail system for walking. Folks who are at Armco Park would love to have access to that trail system. And also we are working on folding this into future regional trail connections. For example, this summer we're starting construction on a trail to go from Armco Park down to Union Village. So conceivably you could get from Otterbein to Armco Park to the Warren County Sports Complex to Shaker Run. It connects all of these places together. So we believe there's a really strong case for putting that asset in.
So you want something that permits walking.
Walking and biking,
Because
yeah.
obviously most of the people that are going to that sports complex have driven there. They didn't walk.
That's
that
true.
first
They have
place.
driven there, and they have driven there through horrendous traffic that they will not want to drive through again just to get to Armco Park.
Okay, well, that's an interesting point. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate the update. I mean, I've obviously been, I think all three of us really support, you know, the mission, and I probably haven't talked about this subject very much recently. It's even prior to Ben's time that I somehow got kind of roped in the middle of this 20 years ago when, by happenstance, I actually negotiated the deal for Armco Park.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting with having a CFO of a publicly traded company yell at me over the negotiations, but I'll take that one away, and took one for the team on that. But the concept is 30 years ago, 40 years ago, Warren County was a rural community. When you own 5 to 100 acres, you don't need a park. Your park is your backyard. That was the nature of Warren County for a very long time. But as the county's become more urbanized, more subdivisions, more condensed housing, more cities, just more higher density in certain areas, the need for parks and recreation has gone up fairly dramatically. And I think that's why we've tried to make a concerted effort to really support this. And I think Ben and the board over more than a decade, that when they've needed something, they've come to this board. I know we did look at, and this board's been fine with paying for a lot of those capital programs and investing in this area, because we know tourism is our #1 industry, and getting the correlation, that's one of the reasons when we did the sports complex, it was 700,000 people were gonna come within the first however many years. Well, actually, what, Martin, 1 million came 2 or 3 years?
I think it's 1.3, 1.4.
Yeah, so well in excess of 1 million people come to that sports complex. And one of the ideas with that is, if tourism's already our #1 industry, why not leverage the other assets that we have? That when I was traveling around also and doing all these sports things with my daughters, it's like, man, you lose in the first round and you don't play until the next day. What the heck do you do? Well, now in Warren County, you go to the park, or you go to Kings Island, or, you know, back in the day you would go to the beach or what have you, to where there's things to do that it's no big deal if Johnny or Susie lost in the first round. You have stuff to do. You don't have to sit there all day. So I think that's a natural advantage that we have with attracting people to come to town. And then you all, I'm glad that you're thinking about how do you actually leverage that to get more participation at our parks, our being a collective term for everybody's, whether they're a city, a townships, or the counties, or the states. So I think that's a very viable activity. moving forward. So we like what we're doing, you know, obviously, we like having a director that's, you know, all in on this stuff and knows what they're talking about and is approaching this from a very business-like manner.
So how much is this tunnel gonna cost, you know?
Not yet.
All right.
That's, yeah, we're thinking about it, but this is, you know, honestly though, it's really more about investment. You know, it's about getting that $1 in and getting those $5 out. However many $1 we want to put in, that's a decision for another day. But right now, this is about saying what the impact is.
I would probably, we're generally hesitant to go and ask the federal government for anything because the federal government's broke and they don't have money like we have money. I mean, they're $37 trillion in the hole. So for us to ask them for money, we generally, it's a big deal for this county to do it. I'd probably like to have some more information on exactly, you know, we're not, oh, it sounds great, let's get Elon to come in with one of his drills and it'll take an hour to go underneath 741. It's not that easy. And I think that's where Commissioner Grossman's going with it. What are the real numbers of what would that leverage look like if we did a walkable tunnel underneath a state route like that? And we're actually gonna ask the federal government to fund this.
Well, I can definitely follow up with Martin with the details on that. We have a concept plan, we have engineers' estimates, all of that good stuff. You know, and I do understand and sympathize with the situation, the financial situation of our federal government. You know, that's definitely a concern that I share. Although the other concern that I have is somebody's gonna get that money.
I get it.
Well, I mean, you know, $1 million here, one famous senator said $1 million here, $1 million there, and pretty soon we'll spend a lot of money. So, we're always concerned about that. We pride ourselves on being very frugal and conservative. Right now, we have no debt. And certainly adding on or asking the federal government to spend money it doesn't have, you know, we're very judicious in looking at that and asking ourselves whether or not, you know, when you're talking about negative spending, which the federal government does, and they borrow money, and then we owe a lot of money to the people that loaned the government money, well, you know, I don't want to add to that burden unless it's a really good ask.
Yeah, that's our whole point. It's just not, we're not the average elected, oh yeah, throw more here. You know, we look at that very seriously when we ask someone for something.
I would expect nothing less.
Very good.
Just give me that information, please.
Will do.
So Matt, one of the things that I would not undersell here, and the study speaks to this, but is, I mean, certainly when we did Armco Park, the state came in with some resources.
I want to give credit to Commissioner Jones, who
Well,
at the
it's
time
not-
was Senator Jones.
Well,
who
no,
was in the middle of that.
I was actually Representative Jones at the time, that's how long ago it was. And Representative Schneider, we both advocated for that project, and our senator at the time was not in favor of that, but, the thing that we were, you know, I think what we were advocating for at the time, that I think has proved, to be the case, is that land would have likely been developed into 300, 400 homes, that when you talk about the stormwater and you talk about the stormwater infrastructure and the other government services that go in there and the pressures on the schools and all those sorts of things that we were really concerned about. I mean, certainly we wanted to have the recreation amenity, but I think in the forefront of our minds is that we wanted to have the recreation amenity stay in this location so that we didn't have this continued just mass building of single-family homes. And so the costs associated with the roads and
The impact to the schools, it was a lot of condos too.
and
they
the
were threatening.
schools and all of those sorts of things. And so I would not undersell that in a community that is gonna continue to grow for the next, 20 years probably. And that, this is a win-win situation, and I appreciate the fact that your study looked at those sorts of things. It wasn't just the $1 in, $5 out. It was also looking at, just had we not done that, the amount of money that government would have had to spend, in infrastructure would have far exceeded, at least from the state was $1 million, what the county put into it, and others, to make that work.
It was Otterbein. There was three partners.
And
It was the
Otterbein, that's
state,
right.
you
Yeah.
led that effort, the county and Otterbein were the three partners.
And Turtle Creek
And
came
Turtle
in
Creek, and Turtle Creek, that's
as
right.
well, yeah, so that was a good example of a partnership that I think both preserved and made this asset open to the public, but also defer this rapid development that it otherwise would have been. And in a county like ours, I think that's equally as important to focus on.
Which is a great point, because there were people saying, why in the world are we spending money on this? We're a rural county, whatever it was. Well, I don't know, what's it been, 18 years or something?
It was 2008. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
it did.
18 years, yeah. So,
It was my first capital budget, that's why I remember that.
very good, thanks, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
thank
much.
you all
Thank
very
you.
much, appreciate it. So now, we have a work session from the county engineer's office, and I see our county engineers here to discuss several options for us for improvements to Zor Road and Mounts Road in Hamilton Township. I feel like I spend a lot of time here talking about Zor roads and Mount Road.
That's true.
That is true, right?
Yes. You've probably been anticipating this meeting, this work session, so,
Oh, super.
yeah,
We've been anxious anticipation.
We knew you'd come back at some point.
here we are. So, yeah, thank you for meeting with us this morning. Talking about, now on the screen, we're looking at Mounts Road is really the focal point. If you look at the, below in the middle of the screen there, Salt Run Preserve. Right here in this area.
Yes.
This is also called,
Yeah.
the Statler 2.
They've changed the name on us.
That's right, that's exactly right.
You're calling it, what is it called?
Salt Run Preserve.
Salt Run Preserve.
Where is that from? Salt.
It's not a name we
Is there a
picked, but
creek named
Salt
Salt?
Run flows through here. That's probably how they got it.
All right.
So the Preserve Salt Run. So, yeah, Statler 2, now Salt Run Preserve. On Mounts Road, you've got Hildebrand Estates up here. Over here, a new subdivision that's coming in right now in Mainville, Bell Harbor. MI is putting that in. This is the existing Wellington Estates. And I don't know, for some reason, the color's not showing up here. But I wanted to point out that right here was Old Mounts Road. So basically, this is Mounts Road to the west, existing Mounts Road to the west of Zor Road. And if, back in the day, back in 2007,
Commissioners, if you go to your packet, it's on page 21 and 23, you'll be able to see the color on your iPad. Yeah, for some reason, it's not coming through on this screen.
Okay, so we have the pink, the
You see
yellow,
that?
the
Yeah.
green, and the blue.
Yeah, it's, correct. I'm gonna grab my sheets here with me. Right, so the blue, if you will, in this area coming east of Zor Road, that was where Old Mounts Road was. And then at the time that Wellington Estates went in, and, Commissioners Young would remember that, and Bruce McGarry would remember that. And our staff remembers that. You got Dave Mick with me and Roy Henson with, oh, they're up here, sorry, I thought they were back there, sorry. Yeah, I just want to mention Roy Henson, Chief Deputy Engineer, Dave Mick, Planning Design Engineer with me today. So, Old Mounts Road went through here, and that was vacated back in 2007 by the Hamilton Township trustees. Mounts Road is a township road. And then basically Mounts Road was, redirected, rebuilt, if you will, down through the south here, through Wellington Estates. And then, the corp line of Mainville's here, and then Mounts Road continues like this, all the way over to Morrow-Kazadale Road. Currently, we've got about 200 vehicles per day on Mounts Road. We've done some, traffic counts out there. You might have a few folks from Wellington Estates heading east on Mounts to get to Morrow-Kazadale to go north to Little Miami High School. We did some counts out there, and I think it was around 20 cars per day, right, Dave? Is that right?
20 cars in the AM hour.
In the AM coming, so basically folks, coming from Wellington Estates, coming through here. And there's basically, when it's all said and done, this Bell Harbor, it's about 100 lots. It could potentially generate another 20 cars a day that would cut through here to go to Morrow-Kazadale. These are estimates. Obviously, the big contributor will be Statler 2, Salt Run Preserve, 371 lots. And, generally speaking, you can say about 10 trips per lot, plus or minus on average. So you add, 371 times 10, basically 3,700 trips a day, plus the 200 that we have currently, plus you add some maybe from people cutting in from the new developments here or the new lots here that are developing, then, it may be, when it's all said and done, about 4,000 cars a day on Mounts Road. But, and to point out, Mason Montgomery is 44,000 cars a day, Fields Erdl's 40,000 cars a day. Many of our county roads are 1,000 to 5,000 cars per day. But the point is, this development here, Salt Run Preserve, Statler 2, is going to be it's going to contribute to 95% of the trips. We've got improvements planned that will bid out later this year. That was part of the traffic impact study for the Statler 2 Salt Run Preserve, to widen Zor Road for left turn lanes, as well as to widen Mounts Road, because Mounts Road's only about 15 to 16 feet wide. And, subdivision streets, neighborhood streets are built to 24 feet wide. Many of our county roads are 20 to 21 feet wide. So improvements to widen Mounts here to get to the entrance, first the west entrance, plus the widening on Zord for the left turn lane. That will be done this year. And then this section of Mounts here is the same, 15 to 16 feet wide. And it's tied out there.
And what part is the developer's responsibility, even as part of the consent decree, that they were supposed to be doing some of the roadway improvements? Is this something you bring to us, if these are going to be county projects, or is this developer funded, or what's the status?
Great question, Commissioner Young. Appreciate that question. Yeah, these will be part of the consent decree, was that the county would construct these improvements, and the developer's bringing is, $1.8 million worth of an assessment, over time from the lots. So that'll come in over time, so I want to do everything, just to this widening, to improve this curve realignment through here, and to improve this. It's a price tag of $5 million. And we've only got 1.8 coming from the developer. So that's where, if we've got an idea that we think is good, and that's what we're calling option one, that I'll get to here in a second, which would be 3.8 million, which would be to, cul-de-sac mounts on either side here, and then basically almost have another, alteration or relocation of Mounts Road, just like we did back here in 2007 when we relocated to here, from a 15-foot, 16-foot wide road to a 24-foot wide road, that we could do the same here and take the traffic down through this path and then not have to improve this, because we're looking, this would be about 1.2 million. So, let me go to that next slide.
I mean, I thought from the packet, it was like a difference between like 75,000 and 1.2 million or something.
That's right. Yeah, so
What is that? Because I always haul for that 75,000 thing.
Right, that's where I
I
was.
thought, where am I going with this
Yeah,
million when I
exactly,
can do
like,
it
we're
for
burying the
75?
lead here, like,
all right.
what's the
Let's
bottom
see,
line?
75,000. So this is I think the thing that, the 75,000 number is if we look at the section between the west entrance to the subdivision and the east entrance to the subdivision, if we were to cul-de-sac on either end and not have to make this improvement, then it's 75,000.
Well, why wouldn't we do that?
That's what they asked us to.
I agree. That would be my recommendation.
But what does that consist of?
Yes,
It
thank
looks
you.
like putting Mounts Road in
Yeah.
front of all those lots.
Into a residential.
Yeah,
setting.
right. It means you're gonna
Right.
drive traffic through the residences, and they're probably, how much traffic is it gonna be?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the majority of the traffic that
It's
would
gonna
go,
be from the subdivision.
what'd you say?
That's the
It's gonna
point.
be from the
That's the
subdivision.
point.
That's it, that's it.
In,
So,
in other words, it's people that live there are gonna go in and out
that's
there.
it. You
And can they
stole-
complain
you stole
about
my punchline.
themselves?
That's right.
I mean, why would they complain about themselves? They're the ones they chose to live there
Right.
with all those neighbors there with 300 and some homes.
Right.
That Stotler, whatever the heck it is, Salt Run now is.
Yeah, right.
And so, I mean, I wouldn't think that they could argue that they
But
lived in
I
this
guess that's
neighborhood. They-
our point is that, that very point that you made, I mean, the 95% of the traffic, maybe that 95% number's a little high, but they can go this way, they can go that way. The folks that, over here, that cut through now, will we have a little bit more? Maybe, but.
But you said the traffic count on that's only 200 to begin with, right?
Yes, sir.
Which is
Yeah.
only 20% of a quote-unquote average county road anyway, right? It's pretty
Right.
lightly traveled.
And if you.
This isn't through traffic.
And then 200 versus the 4,000 that it's projected to be.
But this
Yeah,
isn't
same
through
thing.
traffic. These are people coming
5%.
from these neighborhoods, right? This isn't somebody from somebody else just cutting through this area for the hits and giggles of
Well,
it.
it kind of is, because
Is
there's
it?
200 people on it now. That subdivision doesn't exist right this second, so.
And 40
Correct.
of them
So-
come from the subdivision.
So ultimately, folks that, and when you say 200, that's both directions, right? So, you've got people in Wellington Estates that we saw on the previous slide. Maybe that new subdivision that's going in here in Mainville, the 100 lots, maybe some will come through, but, the bottom line is, and then obviously you've got folks over here, east of the east entrance, and, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Roy or Dave, probably around 25 parcels, to the east here. So, is that about right?
20 residences, there are a few more parcels out there.
Okay.
Well, wasn't this, when we were talking about whether there were sewers here or not, and there was all these proposals going around, and Hamilton Township was involved, and the developer now is, so wasn't there some discussion about improvement of Mounts Road and all of that?
Correct.
Had to be.
Yeah, there were, and because it was really this thin little road, so you had to widen it, right?
Correct.
And okay, so, and wasn't there a lot of the advantage of this development was that the developer was gonna help with that? Wasn't that part of it?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody sitting up front there, but it was the 1.8 million that would be provided through an assessment. and the county would be responsible for the balance.
Except the developer's responsibility is the internal streets. So if
Oh,
you-
correct.
So if you direct that traffic through the residential subdivision, that's not on the county's dime. The
But-
interior street
Correct.
is on the
That's right.
developer's dime.
So they have to, and they have to
Right, this one
construct
here
it,
is the
are they
developer's
constructing those streets to our current standards? Or do we grandfather them to construct them to some older
grandfather.
standards? Right, so
What
we
did you
did
say?
that.
We grandfather.
That's what,
That's what I thought. Now, have we talked to the developers about this, Ken and Greg? Are they in, do they
Yeah.
know what our choices are here?
yeah, I mean, we have, they're okay with the idea of cul-de-sacing each side.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah.
What about Hamilton Township?
In talking to them, and obviously if we move forward with this option, which is the most cost-effective option, you know, it would be a subsequent, you know, public hearing, because we're changing the, you know, alteration or vacation of the road, so, you know, folks could come in and speak for themselves, but we've talked to Hamilton Township a couple different times, and they don't seem to be against this. You know, I think we, even as recent as last week.
Okay,
yeah.
so Hamilton Township's okay with it, the developer's okay with it, and
Then
in
you
light of
got-
that,
Then you got Mainville, you know, they're right here.
And above it,
What's that? I'm sorry.
and above it, Hildebrandt.
Right,
The
Hildebrandt up
shaded
here.
area.
Have you
which
talked
is-
to Mark Hildebrandt about it?
Yes.
Okay. And are his lots platted and built on?
Not yet. In fact, they show, access that is a future access, but we've been talking to them, they're gonna move it to the west. So that touchdown point is still to be determined.
Might be over
But,
here.
yeah, we've been having
So
conversations.
they would be okay with this too?
Yes.
And was that factored into your traffic counts?
They're negligible. There's
Yeah,
11
We've only
lots.
got 11 lots.
Yeah, they're doing large lots on septic.
So those folks, and then you gotta think about the residents over here, and I've had a few conversations with residents, real good folks, good people, that, you know, at least one person, the spokesperson, has said to me, hey Kurt, you know, we just don't like we didn't want this subdivision here to begin with. We don't like the idea of having to drive through it. And I've told that person and a few others that obviously there would, you know, if it's determined to cul-de-sac and eliminate this connection and for the traffic to come through the subdivision, that, you know, there would be a future public hearing where they could come and voice their opinion.
And the concept where the X's are you saying that cannot stay as is, that even if you have 11 or 12 lots over here or 20 lots over there, they make do with it now anyway, and with the new subdivision, essentially, I don't think either of those people are gonna be going right and leaving, or they're gonna be going up and going left. Very few people from that subdivision will be driving where the X's are. Can you not just
Right.
leave it as is?
Just leave it as is. You know, in theory, you could. I would think it would be better to eliminate it just because you're gonna all of a sudden have 4,000 cars a day on a 15 to 16-foot wide road.
But my point is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you are, because either you're going, you know, where the Y is in the new Stotler 2, Salt
Right,
Run,
right,
they're
right.
either going left or right.
Yeah,
So why in the world would they go right and then turn left? Or why would they go left and then turn right?
fair enough. Yeah, your point being, if they're over here, instead of driving on this substandard road, come up here, and these folks, you know, obviously if they wanna go east, would come this, yeah, I hear you.
What's our responsibility on that road then, if we were to not vacate it, if we were to, do we have to continue to maintain that road?
Well, it's a township road, but correct, the township would have to continue to maintain it.
As they are today.
Yes, yeah, I don't know, I think it's, you know, to be quite honest, I think it would be better to eliminate it personally. Just because all of a sudden,
Why is it better to eliminate it?
just because you've got, you know, the width of the road's 15 to 16 feet wide, plus the curves. I mean, it's challenging for a bus, 2 buses to pass, trucks, garbage trucks, maybe.
Well, couldn't
even
they
cars, so-
choose to go the other route to avoid that problem, or they wouldn't know about it, so they were?
Yeah, I think that's what you run into. I think it's something that we should be proactive and eliminate it. You know, if we're gonna go with the option to come
The
through here,
elimination of it costs us how much money?
$75,000.
Well, I don't see that being a problem.
Right, I'm just,
Yeah,
I'm just
no.
wanting to vet that you have real residents over here that right now, it's a bit of a challenge. It's not a perfect road, but there's less than 200 trips on it a day anyway.
Right.
That, why not let those people continue to live their life the way they're living it today? Well, there's this new huge thing that's gonna generate 5,000 trips a day. My only point is, are any of those 5,000 trips really gonna go where the X's are? I would tend to think that they're not.
Yeah, I mean, if it's there, people will use it. Will they, you know, would have to put up signs saying, hey, this is substandard, so come out this way or come out that way? I don't know, and then plus the fact that you've got the, you know, the village over here with those new 100 lots, if they start using it, and granted, we're talking, you know, even additional 20 trips in the morning of school traffic, I mean, that could potentially, because they, if it's here, they're not gonna do this.
But again, what you're proposing is the alternative is, okay, now we're gonna take them on 21-foot wide roads with, 30 lots, you know, surrounding it, with little kids out there or whatever. So now we're taking that traffic and putting it through the middle of a subdivision.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, the other alternative is just to improve it in there, and maybe that's what we should consider, but then it's, you know, it's an additional 1.2 million. I guess that's the thing, I mean, if,
Well, why, Kurt,
you guys have any
I
thoughts
get
on
that,
that,
I
Dave
get
or
that
Roy, am I
point.
missing anything?
Well, no, you mentioned the subdivision, and you say you're gonna have more high school traffic. It is really substandard, and it's a pretty, you know, it's 16-foot wide, and you've got, it's a pretty good dip, you have sight distance issues. Certainly not something you wanna see more school buses, you know, taking, so that's the thing, it's,
Is it a safety problem?
yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I mean, if, the fact that you can't pass, you know, 2 school buses, I don't even know if it's challenging to
Is
pass
it
a
parts
school
of it
bus
that
and
become a
and
one-way,
vehicle.
that you, literally, you're gonna have one person going one way, and so you have to kinda like stop
Yeah,
before
but
somebody?
somebody pulls off, I
You
drove
have to
it,
pull-
somebody pulls off the
Yeah.
side or
You
what.
have to pull
My
it.
whole, but that's the way it is today.
Yeah, but
Right,
you're gonna
but
have a
you're-
lot more traffic in the
Right,
future.
I guess that's, from our standpoint, to Tom's question, safety-wise, I mean, if you're gonna leave this open, we probably should improve it. I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, that would be my recommendation, if you wanna leave it open, you should improve
Even
it.
then we go to the million-plus option. And the $75,000 one simply cuts it off, but the developer's okay with that, the township is okay with that, presumably Mainville's okay with that, and nobody as much as even living there to argue about it right now, except a handful of people, and they're gonna have another way to get around it. I agree with David, I mean, you know, for those people that have been used to it, okay, but it's gonna be a different road when there's a lot more people going through there.
Bruce, here's a question. When we faced this in the past, we've tried to get new growth to pay for itself, was kind of a theme. With a consent decree that says Salt Run is only paying $1.8 million, no matter what that is. And so you're saying that $1.8 million is, you've got that spent somewhere else on this roadway improvement?
Yeah, I mean, all told, if we did this too, you know, it's $5 million.
Right.
No, that's not his question. His question is, if you go with the $75,000 cul-de-sac option, then you add all the other cost of road improvements, down at Zor, anything else, what does that make the price tag?
3.8 million if you don't include this, 5 million if you include it.
All right. So we're spending more than the 1.8 million.
Yeah, we're 2 million, even
Yeah,
in the best case,
3.8
you're
or
saying.
5, one of the
You're
two.
saying we're gonna spend $2 million on these improvements no matter what.
So the
2 million
question
from
is,
us, 1.8 from the developer.
Right.
3.3
That's
or
3.8.
2 million.
Right, and we're trying to figure out how to make it such that we maybe could use some OPWC funds or loans.
Right, but you're
such that-
saying those other
Because we don't have the money,
improvements.
we don't have it budgeted.
The other improvements are just outside of what we're immediately looking at on your screen, the Mounts Road, I mean, so you've got that money spent somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, correct. I mean, this is,
You go to slide
Yeah.
21 and
you
shows
can't
the-
see it, but bottom line is, yeah, this section right here, to answer your question, Dave, yes. This plus, you know, this, if we don't do anything in here except cul-de-sac, plus the widening here, plus the widening here, is 3.8 million.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm looking at that screen, so where Mounts Road, left or right, is, you're saying that's gonna cost us out of pocket $2 million,
Yes.
or really 3.8,
To
of
front the
which,
money, front the money, and
of
over time it
which,
gets-
yeah, 2 million's out of the taxpayers, 1.8 from them. So now you add in the pink, that then approaches the $5 million number. Bruce, my question is, we used to do, or we had done a special assessment district? Can we not do an overlay on these new houses to say this is clearly, these $5 million worth of improvements are coming as a result of these new houses? Is there any way?
Which new houses?
I mean, we're talking about three, I know Stotler, we probably can't because there's a court order.
Well, Stotler, we can't because we came up with this $1.8 million as a economic viability that the developer thought that the market would support, but nothing more. So that's why the developer was hard on the 1.8 million. So to put something else on them may affect the marketability of that development, because if the lot owner has to pay that assessment, people on top of the assessment they're already going to pay, plus their taxes, then he's probably gonna say to you, well, that affects the marketability of the development and the lots.
Okay, what about the new development, which looks to be fairly substantial just left of this, and then even the 11 lots above? I mean, basically, that's the improvement area, and could it be the far to your left, Kurt, those two over there, those two gray shaded areas, and even the bigger one, are we saying that this improved Mounts Road would directly benefit them, or most of that traffic's going the opposite way to get out anyway? They're really not going up that way.
I would say, yeah, the way things are now with, you know, as substandard as Mounts is, unless the 20 trips in the morning that go to the high school, other than that, they're probably going to Zor Road, you know. So I don't know that,
Yeah,
I don't know that you can say that.
We could not,
I don't think you
we
could.
could not put that on, that they somehow have contributed to that and assess them for that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Plus, they're already got all of their subdivision approvals and plats, and they're already selling homes, and Hildebrandt's only 11 anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
plus this is in the village, this is in the village, so.
Right, it's all in the corporation, it's not in the township.
So is this, yeah.
Mr. Dummy, this is something that we thought a long time ago. Obviously, it kind of went a little sideways, but, and I know that historically, you've not been in favor of them, but we could look at potentially a full school compensation residential TIF where the extra dollars that didn't go to the schools could be captured at Salt Run. It wouldn't add any additional tax burden that could go to repay back the dollars that we have invested here.
Well, I thought we looked at the residential TIF.
We looked at it to pay for what they wanted inside, they wanted us to sit there and use that relative, but it was nothing about us using it for anything on the outside.
Yeah, because that ran through my mind, but then I thought, well, we looked at it and the math didn't work, but you're right, that we were trying to throw them a bone of saying, put less houses in there, let us pay for part of your infrastructure. That didn't work, so then it's, okay, it is what it is, but you're saying, we still have that arrow in our quiver that we could do it, and that would generate extra infrastructure dollars for the county, at least potentially.
But I mean, hypothetically, obviously, until you run the numbers and do all the legalese, but I mean, hypothetically, if let's just say that 70% of the dollars go to the school district, then we might have anywhere between 20 and 30% of that we could look at capturing to make. I mean, it's something that I could explore if you're interested, and it wouldn't increase these individuals' tax bill. They would still be paying it. It would just divert a piece of it back to this infrastructure.
Right, and then all of a sudden, if I'm the township, it's, now I've got 1,000 new residents, and I've got to do fire and EMS runs in there, and I get $0 zero taxes.
Well, that's what we'd have to, I mean, that's where we'd have to figure out from a carve-out perspective is, again, making up a number, 17% could come back. Is it even worth the squeeze at that particular time? But that is one thing that we could look at to see from a repayment perspective.
Well, I mean, I think it's worth, because again, we're not talking about small numbers here. It's probably worth at least looking at it quickly, simply because the assessed value of those homes is gonna be very substantial. I mean, that's a very valuable 400 home development that tax value is gonna go through the roof.
We could, I mean,
But those are township roads, so it should be a township TIF.
Or RID.
we could look at all those options, whether it's us, them, or that. I just want to make sure, I mean, do you want us to pursue even looking to see if that's viable?
It's probably worth like spending a half an hour on it, of just, does it make any sense? But again, I don't wanna hose the township because they're clearly gonna have more expense. But again, you have that many homes that are gonna be on average, what, 400,000 or something?
Yeah, it was 400,000 to 500,000, yeah.
I mean, that's
It's a lot of value.
the values, and again, I guess they're gonna point at us and say, look how much now you're collecting in property taxes, why are you spending money on our roads?
For now.
I'll spend a little time on it and report back.
Okay, good.
Great.
Thank you, Kurt.
So we know we got a 3.8, so there's 3.8 million coming no matter what, of which 2 million potentially is on us. It could be upwards of 5 million, if we do it right. Or the low-cost option is 3.8 is essentially what you're saying. And the improvements to the left and to the right have to be done.
Correct, yeah, that's right. We've already, fronted the money for the design, which is $265,000. We did that, set up a fund so that, cash advance the money in such that it could potentially be reimbursed if we get to that point. We brainstormed other ideas, it's, not enough money, but could we do an OPWC, Ohio Public Works Commission, application for a zero interest loan, potentially for the 1.8.
That's just in trying to finance it.
Right, trying to finance it, and then you could match that versus a grant potentially, but that takes away from our ability to go after other OPWC grants, so. Pardon me, so.
So you don't have the money for this to begin with.
Correct.
So
Right.
that's something that you'll be working on to
Right.
figure out how to do.
So, yeah, whatever you guys, we're brainstorming, we've got a few ideas, but, yeah, there's no money for it, so.
There's one more thing, I asked planning to be here. Obviously, if we're gonna do this $75,000 option, the developer's gonna have to consent to that based on the way the court settlement is written. I'm interested in knowing if we go with this other option, is the developer gonna have any additional obligations, like coming back for a revised preliminary plan or anything that's gonna cost them a fee? Which every single time this developer comes to the planning commission, they want their fee waived. So I think it's important to know when we discuss with the developer whether that's the case. Brian or Stan, do you have any comment on that?
Ryan Cook, Warren County Planning. So yeah, we discussed that with option, the one to go through the subdivision. We were just asked to see what that would be classified as, but we wouldn't put them through an additional revised preliminary plan. We'd probably just review that as a staff level.
And if you think about it, putting the traffic through this subdivision is no different than what the village did with Wellington Estates. The road was relocated and they put Mounts Road right through the middle of the residential subdivision from Zoar.
Yeah.
From the west to the east. And that's all this would be
And
doing
we
as well.
talked about this configuration at the time we were having these discussions with the developer.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we
They
talked
knew all about it.
Is it the same developer or did they sell?
Nope, it's the same one.
Yeah, I mean, and I even think about like down in Fairway Drive, you know, by the tennis center over to Tylersville. I mean, it runs right through the heart of a residential area. I mean, it happens. It's not best in class, but we're already short on money for this stuff to begin with, and now you're saying it's gonna cost us another over $1 million just to do this.
Right.
This way, as opposed to, we've got a
Correct.
brand new road that works, it just happens to be a residential road, and there's not that much traffic to begin with.
Correct, so then, I mean, I guess the next step, besides Martin looking into that, would be, you know, a public hearing. If you were inclined to consider, you know, altering or vacating, but obviously we have to go through.
Who gets it?
What's that?
Who's gonna get it when if it gets
Haven't
vacated?
got that far. I mean, I guess we just wanted to see before we went any further. There's a couple things. One, great point, Bruce, you'd have to decide, yeah, who gets the property, you know, what property owner does that go to? It's usually split along the center line. And the other is, we need direction so we can have our consulting engineer know whether or not to design that in there or not. And we're kind of at a crossroads on, pun intended, to whether or not to move forward, so.
Yeah, because, and again, it's not like we're vacating a road that people have lived out here for a long time, and now we're adding 15 minutes to every trip, because they've got to go completely around somewhere else. This is literally, we might be adding a minute by going through the residential area and sitting through one stop sign, potentially. I mean, it's,
Right.
Well, and these homes are gonna have families in them, and I just think about an awful lot of 15, 16, 17-year-old drivers in there, as well as the buses and so forth, to be able to have a road that, I mean, I just worry leaving the road there, their judgment's not the best at 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, they're gonna.
Well, a big part of your job is to have safe roads. That's why I asked the
Right.
question.
Yeah,
And your recommendation, certainly the cost-effective way and the safest way really is to block it off.
right, correct. That's our recommendation if we don't improve it.
Right. Otherwise, we need to improve it because otherwise it is then another safety hazard, maybe even a bigger one.
well, yeah, we'll let Martin take a really quick look at this, because even, it might even be worthwhile, because again, we're gonna be out of pocket $2 million on this, no matter what.
Yeah, I've already texted some lawyers, and so I told them I need to talk to them this afternoon, so
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
very much. Now, I know, Martin, there's a few more items to
Yeah, I
bring before the board.
Yeah, I put them in a summary, but I had 3 different things I just kind of add on, so I was just curious, get some direction from the board. Maybe start with the easiest and work a little bit to the ones more. The first one was, and I put it in the summary, but facilities management saw in kind of connection with the American 250 that we are in, is interested because they have the recycling piece, the solid waste piece underneath them. We're curious if they could hold a recycling art contest for America 250 and have it judged and have the commissioners judge and probably keep some of those items in the rotunda, and those items, obviously no harmful chemicals, nothing that would have anything left over on it. But they were just curious if they could do something that was a little bit creative that they've seen out there for America 250, and I told them I would see if you would give the okay or not for that.
I think it's a great idea. I
Sure.
saw some of that art, it was pretty interesting.
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, I would have no ability to do that, so.
Me either.
The next thing is I'm gonna pass down a map here real quick, and he left, I thought he might stay, but just to see if you have any interest. I said this in passing with Mr. Young towards the backside of last week. As you probably are aware, there is a roundabout that is planned at Green Tree Road and 741. Specifically, I mean, it's needed, but specifically to the visitors that we talked about earlier from the sports complex and other places. When there's a couple different things that came into kind of simultaneously, that plan for the roundabout was being done by the engineer's office. Duke Energy bought the parcel to the southeast, and you see their substation here that they have put on relative to what their needs were. with that purchase also came at the very, very corner, at the top southeast corner, it's hard to see on this map a little bit, but there's a building, it's the old Greenhouse Tavern. Duke Energy has approached us, the county, and to see if there would be any interest in finding a way to partner up. And the reason that they've approached us is there are some, I'll just say historical society individuals that asked Duke to do a cultural study on that building. The cultural study has been done. There's nothing that is, and this is kind of hearsay, it's not a part of the Underground Railroad, but they believe that there was some cultural significance of this building.
What would that be?
Well, they can't pinpoint that it was specifically a part of the Underground Railroad, but they think it probably was. It was a tavern that was in the area, and I can get that study to.
Well, wait. I mean, they're saying that it is near the Underground Railroad, and as a result of being somewhere in the area, that it just might by happenstance be the fact that somebody on the Underground Railroad actually went to that facility at some point.
Yeah, I'll have to get the cultural study and knock it out again. It's been a
So
while
is
since I
the
looked at it.
point of that is that we need to maintain that structure?
Well, I talked to Duke Energy, I asked Duke Energy.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's not ours.
No, it's not ours. Duke Energy, I've asked them, if nobody does anything with it, what are you going to do with the building? Are you just gonna tear it down, you're gonna keep it? They've approached the historical societies and others to see if they could move it to Armco Park, if they wanted to move it. None of them have any resources to do that. Actually, because of, and the same thing happened to the sports complex, because there were federal dollars used in the straightening out a little bit of 741, the Green Tree roundabout was stalled a little bit because they had to do, SHPO came in, the historical group from the state, did some ground penetrating radar. They didn't find anything, so Kurt now is putting the roundabout kind of back onto the project list. I'm just posing the question to you is, Duke Energy, I think, would like to find a partner to see if that building could be rehabbed. They themselves will not do it. I don't think they want to sit there and just have it sit there, and I'm just curious if
Why do
you have any.
we wanna save it?
I'm not saying you do wanna save it.
But isn't that the question?
I think the question is would you want us to explore with Duke if there's any opportunities to find there to be a repurposing of it or not at all?
Yeah, my comment is over the last 75 or 100 years, if this really had some significance, I would believe that someone would have already designated it as such, as opposed to it's an old building that was a tavern and maybe it was used for something, and no one set foot in there in years, correct?
I think the last group is when they bought it, when Duke bought it from whoever was the prior property owner, they boarded up the windows and it's just set for.
I don't see
3 or
any
4 years
reason why
anymore.
if Duke wants to do something with it, let them do it, but I don't know why we would wanna spend a lot of our time, effort, and money saving a building that nobody really remembers, that doesn't have any cultural significance, it's just one more old building, and it's not ours, why do we wanna make it our problem?
And that's what I'm asking, if you want,
Well, I'd
and
rather
it may not
not.
necessarily be the county, it could be the port, but just if whether or not we want to explore it at all.
Not in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, I'm only speaking for myself.
Well, Dave shook his
I'd
head.
already said that.
I was looking past and seeing the.
But again, in the absence of any firm documentation, there's historical significance, we know this building is blank, then that's a whole nother level of review.
Yeah.
But
None of
even
that
if,
exists.
but even if that did exist, I would say we aren't really the appropriate partner. That the historical society is better positioned to be that partner to figure that out.
100% agree, but then it goes into can we help, or can we?
But then we would partner with the historical society
Correct.
as we've done in the past.
Correct, yeah, but this is privately owned, there's a public purpose on, we have 1.3 million people coming literally in this neighborhood now through the sports complex, and traffic is a serious problem and a safety concern. And this would be a way of addressing it, and this one building is potentially standing in the way of that, and there is no factual determination that we should consider this unlike any other old dilapidated building that no one set foot in years.
Okay, we have direction, The last thing that I was wanting to sit there and ask is, I forwarded it to you, I think about a week ago, and that was the audit report that came out relative to the Ag Society, and I think there were about 10 findings that were in there, some for recovery. And I think staff is just looking for any guidance as to what the board's preference is, or what you may or may not want to do relative to the findings that were.
Well, I think that that's in part the draft letter that you gave to us, correct?
I worked on a draft letter email, Bruce.
But I was just asking, I would like to have more time to review that.
Well, it also relates to a proposed resolution to amend the appropriation.
Yeah, and I'd like to, but I think that's in conjunction with that letter, so if we can we address this next week?
I think that's what we're seeking direction.
Yeah, I'd like to have more time to study it, that's all.
Fine with me, 1 week's not gonna make,
Right.
I mean, we've only been dealing with it for 25 years, or whatever, it's fine,
Right.
another week.
Yeah, I mean, there just is some frustration, continued frustration about where we are, that I just, at some point, and, the irony is, this is not a isolated incident in terms of a very arcane statute with respect to this issue, and 87 other counties who struggled with this very same thing because of what, the limitations that we have. So another week isn't gonna make or break it where it is, but we're still very limited in what we can do about it.
Right, we're
So-
very restricted. There's a lot of law, there's law in this, but I just, in terms of how we address the issue, I'd like to have more time to look at it. Just 1 week, that's all.
Okay, well, actually, I guess Crystal has accepted, we'll put it as an agenda item or work session item for next week?
Sure.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
Those were the 3 items that I had.
All right, thank you.
Bruce, anything else you had for us? Anything else to come before the commission?
I just had a quick question.
I feel like we know you well, but for the record, if you could identify yourself and your address, please.
My name is Catherine Bowles, and I'm at 446 Deerfield Road here in Lebanon, Ohio. I just wanted to ask a question about the 7741, because that was a major concern of mine just because of the recent, the fatal accident that happened on there. That roundabout that you're putting in, is that anywhere near the Hamilton Road and 63?
It's north of that,
It's north of that,
so
okay.
it's near,
It's way north of it.
yeah,
Okay,
it's past Otterbein.
Yeah, this is, Green, you know where Green Tree is? then?
yes.
So
Yeah.
63 is the
I
south
just
end of
have, I mean,
Otterbein.
I came here and I didn't look at I don't have Wi-Fi here, so I
The
didn't look at
roundabout is
the-
on Green
the
Tree
map.
Road in 741.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's the northern side of.
So we're improving up further then, but is there any way to look at, or request a safety study from ODOT for, the intersection of, 741 between Hamilton Road and 63?
741 Hamilton.
Yeah, it's where
Well,
the
Hamilton
recent
Road is way
fatal-
down in the dip.
It's
Right, it's way down,
recent-
Hamilton Road comes in to 741, and then you turn left and you go way up that hillside,
Yeah.
and then there's McClure on the.
Should have grabbed the engineer while he was here.
Yeah, okay, so what are you asking about?
There's so many fatalities there. I just hear of it constantly. And now that my daughter has gotten her temporary license, it just terrifies
The
me. I
intersection of
personally
Hamilton and
avoid
741?
that area. If I'm going to 75, I go a completely different route. I just didn't know if you guys have the ability to ask ODOT for a study for that intersection, or
think
have
we
your
should-
engineer.
ODOT's right up the road from there.
The engineer, that would be the engineer, so we could,
Yeah,
we
I
could
can-
communicate with the engineer who was
Yeah.
just here.
Yeah.
He would've been the person to talk to, but
Yeah,
let's
I wanted
communicate
to,
with
but
the
I'm like, I didn't know
engineer.
if I could interrupt, just because there is so many fatalities. I mean, like, whenever I hear of a fatality there, it's generally in that it's in that area, so.
Yeah, let's, if you wouldn't mind, we can ask the administration to follow up with the engineer's office to find out. That may already be on a list of his, that you know, for study too, so or he may have already studied it even, so.
Well, when it's a
Yeah,
state
can we
route like
find-
that, they also have very set guidelines.
Right,
That when there
right.
are fatalities,
Right.
plural, that they look at traffic count and how many there've been over a certain specified period of time. They've got very hardcore rules about when they do that, because I know there was one at a location that I tried to get them to study after one fatality, and they said actually no, because I hate to say it, there wasn't enough, even though there was one, which is too many. So
Right.
they're hardcore about, because there's, you know, obviously throughout the state, could be tens of thousands of those locations.
Right, but like we're putting in a roundabout up further, like, and why couldn't we do something similar there? I just,
Because
something
there's
to
one
look
point
at.
3 million people at the other one.
You wouldn't put a roundabout at this location.
I don't know, I don't personally drive it because there is so many fatalities. I mean, I'm hearing about them all the time, accidents or fatalities, so I personally don't drive it.
I hear you, and
We can ask the engineer.
and let's just ask the engineer and
Thank you.
see what he
I
says.
appreciate that,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else to come for the commission?
Motion to adjourn.
And-
Second.
Yes.